Welcome, everybody, on this rainy, wet day. As many of you know, I live in London, and as John Anderson will know, rain in England brings good luck. So here we go. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Beth Gardiner, and I'm the chair of the board of the College of the Atlantic. We're gathered here today on a very special day to honor someone who has been really transformational to the College of the Atlantic. That person is our dear friend and fearless leader, Darron Collins. An important part of today's story are Andrew and Kate Davis. The entire Davis family are hands down the most generous donors to the College of the Atlantic that we've ever had, and we're forever indebted to them. They led the way in our Broad Reach campaign, and their generosity allowed us to build this gorgeous residential building for 46 students that is now open and full of life. I thought I would give you a couple of words today about how this germ of an idea came about to name this building Collins House. It all starts with Andrew Davis, who contacted me one day out of the blue and said, "Beth, you gotta help me. Darron keeps hounding me. Day in and day out, he wants to know what we want to name the new building at COA. I've got a great idea to share you, but first you've got to get Darron off my back." Andrew's very generous idea was to name this building after Darron and his family because of how transformational Darron's leadership has been to the college. It was a great idea, and I instantly floated it with cabinet and people on campus, and everybody piled on and agreed that they loved the idea. The problem was how to get Darron to stop badgering Andrew. So we could make a surprise reveal to Darron about what the name would be. So a plan was hatched. As the chair of the board, I speak every Friday morning to Darron at 8:30 a.m. Usually, it's just the two of us, Darron and little old me, on the other side of the Zoom. But we decided that on the Friday, the last Friday before Christmas, we would invite Darron to our Zoom call, and he would join a Zoom that was bursting with people. So that Friday, Darron linked on, and he was greeted by Andrew and Kate and 24 smiling trustees and cabinet members saying hello. Andrew took center stage and revealed the name of the new dorm, Collins House. I honestly wish I could have captured that moment with Darron's face when he learned that what the new dorm would be named. Collins House. And from here to eternity, this corner of the campus will become known as Collins Corner. The Davis family has deep roots with COA that run through many generations, and we're so thankful. And I wanted to ask Andrew to come say a couple of words now.
Well, I'll keep it short, but I do want to say this is my favorite time in Maine because it differentiates it from so many other places because you have to want it a little bit more. And on a day like today, it shows you. Look how many people are here. I figured there'd be a lot of cancels, but look at everybody. Everybody's here for the right reason. Look, I clearly stand on the shoulders of those before me in my family, especially regarding COA. But getting up to speed on it, and Darron, you may not remember this, we met almost exactly a decade ago, almost exactly. I was going through a rough period in my life at the time, and you and I would go on bike rides from time to time, and you looked after me a little bit, which was really very, very kind. And as I got to know the school through Darron's talks and through his insight and Yeah, just through the moments when things stuck with me, you start to learn, and I think I've said this in the past, that COA for a student, it isn't for every student, but for those students for whom it fits, it's perfect. And that's very, very difficult to find in most any university or any college. It's really a very, very, very special place. And it also resides in the state of Maine. As a Colby graduate and as somebody who has never lived full-time in Maine, but has spent generation after generation after generation now coming here, this is, if not my favorite place, it's certainly in the top 2 of places that I like to be. And we believe as a family that charity begins at home. And this feels like home, and it always has. So when I think about what my grandmother started, my father contributed as well, and now I've taken this on to boot, this was easy. This was an easy one. There are lots of organizations that are more complicated and are more difficult to get behind, and sometimes there has to be a special hook to it. Well, in this case, not only was it easy, but the special hook stands right there. And the idea to name this Collins House, even through our foundation board, it was the easiest thing we've ever done. The worst part was getting him off my back. That's what we had to do, which we finally did. But anyway, that's enough out of me. Congratulations, Darron. This is a great day. Karen, wherever you are, congratulations.
Now, somewhere in the audience is Tim Locke, who is the architect of this building. Tim, many of you may know Tim because Tim and Susie Rodriguez were the designers of the fantastic new school building that we have on the other corner of campus called the Davis Center for Human Ecology. And Tim leveraged everything he learned in building that building and notched it up to this building. And so I'm excited for him to tell you about what he's done here. Tim Locke.
Okay, thank you so much for having me here today. I'm going to start with a just real short story. I don't know how many people here know this, but I started, maybe Darron, maybe John, started at the beginning of my career doing high-end houses, 10 years, first 10 years of my career. And I swore in 2013 that I would never do another high-end house because I was sick of getting emails from clients at 3 a.m. So I've been working with COA now for six and a half years and 1 week as of today. And I can show you all my phone later. It's not emails anymore, but texts from all hours of the day, any day of the week. And somehow I found myself back doing residential, high-end residential. And I think it's pretty fitting that it's called Collins House. All of those emails are from that guy. So let me tell you a little bit about the building. It's, Beth put it really well, that it is taking what we learned up the hill at Che and putting it up a notch. One thing that always excites me about Ecology Atlantic, it makes you my favorite client, and I mean that truly. I know architects will say that about anybody when they're giving a speech about their building. I really mean it. I grew up 30 minutes from here in Ellsworth. It's like coming home every time I drive here. Sometimes it's more annoying driving home than others in summer. But the reason that I love it is because you ask for the world when it comes to ecological design. The buildings that we make might be our single greatest human ecological artifacts that we have. They're what allows us to live in all parts of the world, including Maine, but they're also our single biggest impact on that world that we try to live in. They take a ton of resources. And we had this dream, first with Center for Human Ecology and here with Collins House, to try to see how low we could make that impact. And it's been really interesting to allow that to track the trajectory of our own learning at OPAL and having you push us to new places. So why are we doing bird safe glass in all of our buildings? Because you asked for it, first at Center for Human Ecology and then here. Why are we doing wood fiber, and why has timber HP become something that we've had actual case studies to show people around the country? Because you asked for it. You said, get plastic and foams out of our buildings. So when we did this building, we wanted to do this at Davis Center for Community Ecology, but we couldn't. Darron and I were thinking, well, could we do all mass timber and all wood fiber installation and truly make the nearly all wood construction that we wanted to do up the hill? We weren't able to do it then because of availability, and we said we're going to go for it here. It neatly was tracking the trajectory of my work with the Biden-Harris administration on setting national standards for zero emissions buildings. That was something that was just announced on Friday by the Climate Policy Office. You might have saw it in Bloomberg potentially. This building is one of a handful of buildings that already meets that definition of zero emissions. Now we're working with the same office, knock on wood that November goes well, but we're working with that same office on expanding that to include all embodied carbon in buildings and looking for a pathway to total zero emissions buildings. This building, you can see this in the handout, already meets that drawdown pathway, which is set to go to zero in 2045. This has become this petri dish in our office that allows us to test all the things that we know are possible in buildings, but it's only possible because we had such a great client that wanted to push us there. And somebody who would email me at 3 a.m. and ask questions. Other things, this is just like any project at COA, such a community-driven project. You are asking for a new type of housing on campus. This is not like the other buildings you have, and it's because your campus is small and it's getting smaller as we try to house more and more students, and we needed a new model for that, but still able to capture some of the things that make COA housing great, like community cooking and large hangout spaces that are accessible to the outside. And the team that worked with us, I need to thank you for, the first 6 months just in the height of COVID over Zoom every week to try to figure out a new model for housing with us on that journey. We did something new in this project too, where we were literally showing you working drawings every week, and we never used to do that. Architects love to make presentations, love to show pretty slides and pretty pictures. We were just looking at drawings that were incomplete and saying, how can we work through this kitchen? How can we work through this common room? All the folks that were on those design committee meetings, thank you so much for all that effort. It was a lot at the beginning, especially at the time that it occurred. It was really difficult. I can't believe we're here. This 6.5 years once we first started working with you all. I also did want to mention that the first building that we did, Susie and I with the Davis Center for Community Ecology, just Friday night won the highest architecture award that can be given in the United States, the AIA National Architecture Award. And we hope for just as great things from this building too when it's time to get recognized. Thank you so much. And then one last thing. All your commitment, Darron, we have a special gift for you today, and we'll do a little activity in a little bit. It's one of the first test pieces of Timber HP off the line in Madison, Maine, because you guys have been such a great advocate for the product and partner on that journey, and always willing to go out there and help us educate and advertise the product. We have the last piece of insulation that's going to go in this building. There's a space for it. We'll do that in a little bit. You got to talk first. So I'm going to welcome Darron up to the stage.
I was hoping for my profile picture on here. Thank you. I maybe for the first time in my life, I have no prepared words, and the scariest time to do that. But I'd like to start off by thanking John Gordon, actually. John was our project director on this and in the Center for Human Ecology. But just let me thank Kate and Andrew, really. I met Andrew's grandmother when I first got here, and she was one of the most wonderful human beings that this planet has ever had. And I had lunch with her with my two daughters who are here now, Maggie and Molly, and Karen. And Catherine, I said to the girls, I was like, girls, if there's ever a time to behave, this is the time. And Catherine welcomed them with such open arms. From then, I got to meet Shelby, Andrew's dad. And they have done, like we've said, extraordinary things for this college. But with Andrew, I got to be a friend. And that doesn't happen all that time. You know, that donor-friend thing can... And with Andrew as a friend first. And Andrew, thank you for everything over these years. I'm super excited about this house. And I recall the words of Ed Kelber. Ed was our founding president here at COA. And he said, do not build a building until you absolutely have to build a building. As beautiful as this place is, COA is not about buildings. It's about the people who come here. All the students, staff, and faculty and alums will contest to that. But for this building, we absolutely had to build this building. Everyone knows the housing crisis here in Bar Harbor and across MDI. With this building, now we are capable of housing 85% of our students in COA managed housing. And when I got here, it was less than 50% of that. So this is an absolutely crucial cornerstone of COA as an institution for the next 100 years. So I think it is really relevant, and it talks back to Ed Kelber's thoughts, and he is proud of us looking down on us now. I love the building. It's so funny. Everyone, as soon as you start building a building, everyone becomes an architect, right? Like, oh, I wouldn't have done that corner that way, and myself included. But I'm really, really proud. I was very excited, a little bit sheepish at first when it was called Collins House, but now I think I'm going to beat my chest about it. And we'll have words afterwards, and time to talk at 5 o'clock during the party. But I wanted to thank all of you for coming and making this a very, very, very special weekend for me and Karen and the girls and the COA community. So thanks, everyone. Yeah.